Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this edition of the Service Impact Podcast, where we help service businesses sift through all the noise to better understand the truth about today's marketing and advertising strategies, tactics, and emerging technologies. On today's podcast, the digital landscape is shifting, and what worked yesterday, it's not working as well today. And joining me on today's show from the mothership, the director of content and brand at Outside Communications, Shellie Chiavetta. Shellie, how are you today?
Doing great, Lance. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. So I'm bummed. Okay, I'm so upset about this. I want it to work forever.
I know.
I want it to be easy. And what you're saying is that things change.
Things changed. Who signed up for that deal? I don't remember signing up for constant change, but here we are.
And doesn't it feel like I remember when, okay, I'm going to date this. This is going to be about me just for a second.
Go for it.
So I remember when I started in SEO in 2001, and it seemed like things didn't change for like 10 years or so. And, you know, you'd see algorithm changes, but it wasn't. I mean, for the most part, a lot of the strategies and the tactics were the same. Yeah. And then as time has gone on, what has worked and doesn't work has accelerated. And there's this velocity now of change that seems in the SEO world, email marketing, in PPC, in all the different aspects of marketing. It just, things are changing like really quickly. Am I tripping out? I mean, is that it? That's what it feels like right now.
I think that is accurate. I mean, we're all tap dancing to the almighty algorithm, aren't we? Like Google releases some new update and we have to redo every strategy we've ever come up with in terms of advertising. LinkedIn makes a minor change and all of a sudden your feed is completely different. It's happening, I think, across every single digital platform. The more these platforms revise how things work, we all have to now shift and change to be seen and to show up and to find what we need. It's just the nature of the biz.
Yeah, well, I have to admit, I do. I mean, if it was static, I've been, in marketing and advertising now for a long time, and if it was static and it didn't change, I probably wouldn't be as interested in it. So right? It's on one side of it, it is, yeah, you've got to adapt, you've got to pay attention to what's going on, and you've got to shift your tactics and strategies. I mean, just to continue to be good at what you do. And yeah, if that wasn't the case, I don't know how long I would have stayed in the business. So I'm thankful, but it is a pain, and you do got to pay attention, and it does cost time and sometimes money to adapt. But that's what we're going to talk about, is maybe some of the things that were working yesterday that aren't working so much today. And I know you spend a ton of time with the various content formats, and I guess we'll start with that, is like what's in for content formats.
Yeah. This is what we're seeing from a trend standpoint. The things that are really working, that customers are really gravitating towards. We are seeing, first and foremost, that video is huge. And this has been a trend that I would say has been evolving pretty consistently over the past few years. This is just how people are taking in information now. We live in the age of TikTok. We live in the age of Instagram Reels, YouTube. People are scrolling through Facebook. Reels are catching attention. Most people are spending more time on video content than they are on static content. So I think this is a big opportunity point for service businesses to take advantage of and create some interesting and dynamic video content that doesn't have to be long. In fact, the shorter the better. We're talking like short, snackable little videos that could be a before and after transformation of a project that you're working on, or some education that your customers would find particularly useful. But that is one of the things that I think this has been, just consistently year over year, we're seeing the importance of video become more and more important in terms of content. So that's a huge leverage point if companies can invest in some video content.
Yeah, and for companies that are listening, like, we have companies that are larger that have video budgets, where they're spending, significant dollars every year on video, where like coming up with tons of content, whether it's long form or short form, is actually pretty easy, because a lot of the short form derives from long form, oftentimes. But for a lot of smaller companies, it's like, this is a bigger ask, because well done video, can be very expensive. I mean, compared to, a lot of other forms of content. And, oh, by the way, this stuff gets consumed at an alarming rate. I mean, it's here today, it's gone tomorrow. I mean, how can, like, if somebody's looking to kind of incorporate some of these things into their marketing, how can a small company that doesn't have $100,000 a year video budget even get in on like some of these trends?
Yeah. I would say look at video as a spectrum. So there is the opportunity to, if you're going to invest in a more professional looking video, just be sure that you are going to be able to maximize every single bit that you can get out of that video. Is it able to be broken down into short 15-minute little increments? Maybe maybe you invest in a professional video that goes on your website that you can borrow and put on social. You can put it on Instagram. You can put it on Facebook. Get mileage out of your investment. It's worth the investment, but you don't have to spend discrete budget on, a 30-second video and then a bunch of 10-second videos individually. Structure your video so that it is modular and able to be broken down, and you get more mileage out of what you're investing in. The other thing is, there is something to be said about using your iPhone to capture certain things. Like, if you're going out on a job and you are, showcasing before and afters of work, if you can do a bit of a primer on how to capture good iPhone footage, it has to be good footage. It can't look low quality, but there are easy tutorials. You can find them anywhere online for how to capture good quality iPhone footage, and that can be put on your social media feeds. And it's an easy way to have a lower lift investment into some video assets. The point is, video is something that you can build a library over time. You just have to make sure that whatever you are putting together, even if it is something you're doing in-house, looks good. And there are lots of ways to make sure that what you're capturing is good footage.
Yeah. And, I mean, even some of the time-lapse stuff that we'll see, like with some of the construction clients that we work with, I mean, that's great stuff. And that's just a matter of, somebody putting a GoPro over in the corner and then getting it compiled. I mean, that's not like high, that's not like, there's not a ton of complexity that goes with that. But those sort of videos that show a job taking 8 hours in 10 seconds, people watch it, people engage with it. And I loved your idea about being intentional about your professional video, because that's with the expense that you're accruing with having, a crew show up, do video for you. my gosh, a lot of times you're paying for half day rates anyway. And, the actual video, if everything's organized correctly, might only take 30 to 45 minutes. I mean, why not like have a bunch of content ideas, in the can, ready to go? And this is, I guess, as you're planning content, these would be the kind of things that you can do that for the company that's willing to do the planning, that's willing to do the, get the right people involved that can even consider these things. You can get a lot out of this stuff. And then over years, that video, my gosh, how often are we repurposing video from a year, 2, 3, and 4 years ago that still looks good because it was shot in 4K. It's well lit. I mean, my gosh, we tap into that stuff like every single week. We're doing that. So I think we're onto this journey thing. Like it doesn't need to all happen at once, and
right.
and you can engage with it just as you can. I think the point is, with a lot of the challenges that we have in building companies, is you've just got to move your feet, and it's not always like waiting until everything's perfect, the stars are all aligned to do it. It's just making these little steps happen, and then they can become bigger steps as time goes on. All right, what are some other things, some other things that are in at this point?
Yeah. So authenticity is another big in right now. People want to connect with things that are real. They want to connect with real people behind the businesses. They're not into kind of a faceless corporate entity. They want the ability to connect with an authentic brand that feels like it has a voice and people behind it that they can connect with. So this is a great opportunity for service businesses to leverage some storytelling. And I think the best way for these brands to go about it is showcasing behind the scenes work. What does it look like on a project? What sort of projects are you doing? The time-lapse video is a great example of that. Customer testimonials, case studies, and again, these things don't have to be super complex. Attention spans are so short now. The shorter actually they can be, the better. But really, people want to connect with people. They want to connect with real stories of success. So the more you can illustrate what your company is doing for real people, real customers, the better it's going to be. The more potential customers are going to be able to connect with what you're doing and who your company is.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot of people are, as we're consuming this content so quickly, and it feels like an uphill battle for a lot of companies. And, when you're thinking of efficiency and low cost, AI comes to mind, and that seems to be the buzzword. I mean, are there ways that companies can utilize AI to kind of bridge time gaps and cost gaps?
Yeah.
Are there things that we can do today to leverage AI to help us that way?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this as a writer, but use AI. AI is not. I think there is a perception in the content creation community that AI is going to like subsume human thought and human creativity. And there's a funny. I'm gonna let you in a little bit behind the curtain of what content creators talk about on LinkedIn and our networks. Now it's like, oh, we can tell what's AI generated content because it has an N dash and an M dash. Like it's an overused mechanism. We can always tell when AI is writing content because you can see this M dash, and it's just like, to me, AI is a tool like any other that if you use it correctly, it's going to save you so much time and so much money. And you have to know how to use it properly. You have to know how to uh, execute it in a way that doesn't sacrifice that need for authenticity and that need for human to human connection. So use AI to get a case study going. Feed it all the data, feed it all the details and the data points that, the project details. Have it spit something out, and then partner with somebody who can make it sound a little bit more human, make it sound like your brand, shape it to be something that is more of a personal connected touch point. Humans are always going to do that better, in my opinion, than AI, though I don't know, it's getting pretty scary out there. We could be eclipsed very soon, but there are ways to utilize it to kickstart your content marketing efforts and give you a baseline that you can improve upon and get it into a shape that is going to go out the door and represent your brand the way you want it to. But it will cut down so much of the initial legwork if you utilize AI in the right way. I wouldn't just copy paste and put it out there, but you can definitely use it as idea starters for sure.
Love that. Some other ideas, I'm seeing, brands that are, somewhat developed. We work with a couple of them where some of the content is kind of a little different than the rest. Maybe you could, tap into or help listeners tap into like some of the things that are new, different, and might stand out a little bit more than the regular stuff.
I would say anything that encourages people to be interactive with your brand is going to be a standout. You got to remember, people are just scrolling. They're just scrolling all day long on social media, even on LinkedIn. It's just like, it's all noise. So you really want to look for what we call a scroll stopper, what's going to have somebody stop and, interact with what you're doing. And the more that you can do content that sort of invites people to engage with you, whether that's a poll, whether that's a quiz, whether that is a Q&A or, ask me anything kind of deal, that is what people are more likely to engage with than just a static image with a call to action. So and again, this ties back into that human authenticity. People want to know that they're talking to somebody. And so even if brands do some kind of interactivity, it lets the customer connect with them in a different way. So anything that you can do to be interactive and engaging, utilizing poll features, quiz features, Q&A features, is just going to enhance your brand engagement.
Great. So what are the content trends that are out of fashion at this point?
Yeah. Hot or not? What is not? So one of the big things, and again, I think authenticity is basically the buzzword of this podcast episode, but people are just done with long, overly produced corporate content. They don't have the patience for it. It feels stilted. They don't need something that feels super polished. The more, I would say, down to earth and human to human your content feels, even if that is a very professional looking video, people are not necessarily into like big long explainer things that look very like buttoned up and stiff. They want something that has more of a personality to it. So that's the one thing that, we're starting to see is going out the door. And in that same vein, stock photos, man, they serve a purpose. They can be super useful in a pinch. If you need stock photos, obviously use them, but the more you can build a uh, library of images that are actually of, let's say, your people, your equipment, your offices, your work sites, that is going to go so much further than a stock photo will. And again, stock has its place. People, people need to utilize it, but this is like a place where we can really see benefit to building up your own library of assets. And then I would say the last bit of what's out is generic one-size-fits-all type of content. So the more you can do a personalized, localized, specific piece of content that speaks directly to your customers and is not just kind of like a blanket, generalized overview, tailor it to what your audience needs, tailor it to their specific pain points. Speak to your region, speak to your geographical area. If you're, especially for service businesses with strong local presence, like make it as specific as possible. That is going to be a major way to set yourself apart in sort of the sea of noise of content these days.
So I think one of the common denominators to the content that we're discussing is the customer aspect of it and the behavioral aspect of it. And we could have done this first, but it feels like kind of bringing everything that we've just talked about down to like the behavioral level feels appropriate. And I guess I'm curious then what is in as it pertains to audience preferences and just like businesses acting and engaging with the psychology of their customers. What's in that respect?
Yeah. Again, it comes down to, I would say a major in is showcasing your credibility and your reputation. People want to engage with companies that they trust, that have a reputability. It matters more than ever, I would say, especially for service-based businesses. They want to see reviews. They want to hear from your customers. They want the testimonials. They want a genuine interaction with you before they make their decision. So the more you can gravitate toward showcasing your reputability and being transparent about your business and how you work with customers, that is going to go such a long way. And in that vein, I would say that engagement over reach is becoming more valuable. So there are a couple of metrics when we talk about brand engagement. One is impressions, how many people are seeing your content. And then there is engagement. How many people are commenting, liking, sharing? How are they interacting with your comment, with your content? Engagement tends to be more of a marker of a strong brand than reach in terms of customers making the decision to, again, trust your brand, make the decision to work with you. When you look at a post and you see that it has 45 likes and 8 shares, you're like, oh, wow, yeah, people are really engaging with this. There's a healthy audience here. That's all goes toward social proof. That all goes toward creating a strong presence for your brand. So engagement over impressions, engagement over reach tends to matter more in terms of brand development. And then I would say the last thing that's in is erring on the side of education to drive sales versus like a hard sales pitch. Educating your customers with guides, explainer videos, quick, digestible ways for them to get the information they need to make a decision. That is going to go further than like kind of a hard press on sales efforts. people just want to take in the data and use that to make their own decisions. So are you making that easy for them? Are you making it interesting for them? Are you making it engaging? So that's another trend in the direction.
So personal, authentic, and digestible.
You summed that up so succinctly.
Yes. I mean, and it had to be 3. I mean, it couldn't have been 2. Had to be 3. Thank you so much for coming in. And I know, I mean, we could probably do this once a year, honestly. And, as we're recognizing things and that are changing and developing, we could probably do this once a year. So I look forward to the next time you join us, Shellie.
Me too. Thanks, Lance.
All right. And if you found this episode valuable, please subscribe and leave a review. Your support keeps us doing this. It actually just lets us know that we're doing a good job and providing you the content that you're after. So we really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, feel free to email the show at serviceimpact@outsidecommunications.com. We love engaging and answering questions, and we're here to help. I mean, we love what we do here, and we love to see businesses grow and succeed. We'll see you next time on the Service Impact Podcast. If you found this episode valuable, please subscribe and leave a review. Your support helps us to continue to bring actionable marketing strategies to service businesses around the country. And if you have any questions, feel free to email the show at serviceimpact@outsidecommunications.com. We love getting back to folks and helping out and just seeing businesses grow. That's why we're here. We'll see you next time on the Service Impact Podcast.